Does your location make any difference on how successful you can become? Well, let's find out. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another ZoukNerds. My name is Alisson Sandi. Join our co-hosts Gui Prada and Adayl Iost, and our very special guests Leandro and Nayara, and let's discuss if your location makes any difference in how successful you can become and how you can use your location to rocket launch you to anywhere in the world. So let's go. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of ZoukNerds. My name is Alisson Sandi, and today we have joining us here our co-hosts Gui Prada.
Hello people. Asian greetings for you.
Adayl Iost.
Hello guys, what's up?
And also our very special guest for today, we have Leandro and Nayara. Hello guys.
Hello guys.
So happy to be here.
How are you doing? Where are you right now?
We are in Miami. We say that this is our home, but actually we do laundry here every Wednesday. So we are in Miami right now.
Sounds like me when I was living with my parents back in Brazil. My mom used to say, "Oh, welcome back to your backpacker," because I would come once every few days, do my laundry, and then bye.
Bye, get out again.
That's it.
You guys are staying more local or are you guys traveling a lot?
We teach here weekly courses, but also we travel almost every weekend.
Okay.
In the US. So we are local in the US, but we're traveling a lot.
Yes, well, the US is a very large country, so you can fly for hours and hours and hours and you're still in the US. There's no better place to be for artists who are going from local to global, right? Let's talk about you guys. Let's hear a little bit of background about how you started in this journey of Brazilian Zouk and how you guys started partnering as well.
So first of all, thank you so much again, guys. We're so happy to be here. We follow ZoukNerds since the beginning, and we also really like to hear and to listen everything. I think it's a very nice experience also for us professionals to listen what the students need and how they think about Zouk. So ZoukNerds is really important for the whole Zouk scene, and it's very important to be here too. Thank you so much. Now, how about us? Go ahead.
So I started dancing Zouk in 2011, and then my first experience was in Urban Zouk with Renato Veronese. And after that, I learned from him 3 years, and then I started my solo career, but just 1 year. And then after that, I met Nayara. She was my first private student.
But I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
It was very challenging because Nayara is very technical. And then I was kind of more, okay, let's breathe. Imagine fire, imagine water. So now Nutella. And Nayara was, okay, but how about this angle? So now 45 degrees. Okay, but why? Nayara was the first student ever to ask me why. Because in the school that I came from, the students, they were more, okay, what should I do? That's it? Okay, I'm gonna do it. Nayara, always, why? Then I was, that's the thing. But that was a really good challenge. And then I told her in the first class, I can imagine with a partnership, you will have a really huge talent. And then she was, no, shut up. I just want to be a professional. The first class, I want to be a professional. I always ask the students, oh, how can I help you? Or something like this. I want to be a professional dance
teacher. Yeah, so this is how we met. But first, when I was young, little, like 3 years old, I used to take ballet classes. But the classes that the parents, they just leave the sons and daughters over there just to have time for themselves. So that was my ballet class. Not a really good one. And so I was there doing all the things in my school. So singing, theater classes. and ballet classes, gymnastic things. And so I was little, I think I was 8 years old when I quit, and I didn't take classes anymore, but I always loved dancing. I was doing communication in college. And in Brazil, we can pause. I don't know how it works here, college, but we can pause for a while. And I paused 1 year. I wanted to do dance. Then I talked to my parents, and they, especially my dad, he said, "Oh, you were 19. I think you are too old."
Yeah.
I think you are too old for that. Yeah. Maybe you love dancing, so you should keep this as a hobby. And I agree with them, and I said, okay, maybe let's just dance, social dance. So I came back to the college. I finished my degree. I was working in a huge international business company in Brazil. I was account manager. And when I was 25, I came to the US to learn English because I didn't speak English at all. And I couldn't work in few specific accounts in that company. So I came here. I studied English for 6 months. I came back and I said, I want to dance. I don't want to do this anymore. So in that time, Bruno Gallardo, he's a very close friend of mine. So he introduced me Zouk, and I actually didn't like it the first time.
Me neither. I'm one of those
really?
too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but I can share a little bit more about that next.
Yes.
But you continue,
I want to
please.
hear. So to make it shorter, what I saw Zouk in that time, in 2011, 2010, at least in the place that I went to, everybody was dancing the same. And I didn't like much the dance, at least for me. I wanted to move my body in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years later, when I started really dancing, 2014, Zouk was very different. So we had the urban Zouk style coming, we had the real Zouk style mixing a little bit, and the São Paulo Zouk style, that it was starting to mix. And
So in that time, Lamba Zouk was getting trending in São Paulo.
That's true. And Lamba Zouk was getting trending. So I saw many other styles and I said, oh, this is nice. So I came back. I wanted to be teacher, and I didn't have much time for group classes because I used to work hard in that company. So I decided to take privates, and Bruno was not in Brazil. So I had another friend in common with Bruno, and she introduced me Leandro. So she said, oh, he teaches privates, and I started taking class with him. But my goal was being teacher, because I loved that so much. I loved so much how I would feel when I was dancing, that I wanted to, my mentality in that time, of course now it's different, but my mentality, it was just like, oh, I love this so much. I feel so happy that I want to help people to be happy too. And that was all I wanted. And so I started taking classes, and then I started the long process of being a professional. That is, we all know how hard it is, but it's amazing at the same time. So yeah, that's our story.
That's really nice. And Leandro, so you are from the time that, so I remember back in the day, Veronesi's way of dancing Zouk was called Vero Zouk. I don't know if you had that, we would hear that when you started. Now you dance Vero Zouk.
Not only here, but also he has shirts, Vero Zouk style.
No, that time was like a Jack and Jill trophy nowadays. To have a Vero Zouk t-shirt, again, it was amazing. That feeling, I was in the social like, yeah, Vero Zouk, let's go. And in that time, believe it or not, we had kind of two groups in São Paulo, really strong. Lamba Zouk group was the guys dressed by yellow and black, and we in the Vero Zouk corner, black and white. And we would fight against each other, like, okay, DJ, now Urban Zouk. And we would do like boo when they were playing Lamba Zouk.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
was exact all the socials like this. They would dance, and then we were like, okay, this is not Zouk. Do you know Step Up, the movie?
Yes.
It was exactly like that.
Like a battle, not a fight,
Always
but like
a battle.
Yeah.
Yes, always like a battle. And we did a show once with the Movimento Lamba Zouk, was the Vero Zouk company against the Movimento Lamba Zouk. We would use basketball balls. Oh my God.
So they did together, right?
Yes, we did together.
They did a choreo
in
together.
2013 in the Veronese Congress. was called Zouk Fusion. Yes, Zouk Fusion, something like that. But in São Paulo was exactly like this. Always
that's
battles.
so cool.
Yeah, that's for me is one of the most hilarious videos I ever saw in my life.
My
When
God.
Leandro in his 19, 20 years old just coming in with a basketball ball on the stage. And they're like, oh, we're so mean. We're playing basketball. And then they think of throwing the ball to the other people. And they're like, no, it's my ball, and take the ball home. And I'm like, what? What is happening on this choreo? But it's...
But we have a happy ending. In the end, everybody dances Lamba Zouk and Urban Zouk together, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, I want to see
So,
that. I want
Alisson,
to see
you were
that. Can
saying?
you send me the link? I'd love to see that.
Now I'm very curious to know. I know this is not your actual story, but I just cannot continue without knowing what happened after that made São Paulo what it is now, because São Paulo now is like one of the best places to be and learn and train, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. I think back in the time, in 2010, was when Nazi moved to São Paulo. And then he started doing Urban Zouk. It was very, very, very training. And then Lamba Zouk was kind of starting with Ricardo Ferrari, but they were friends. And then little by little, we had those two groups growing. And then after that, people start competing more. In Brazilian Zouk Open, some Jack and Jills, and then Veronese moved to Europe. Then Urban Zouk kind of was dying in São Paulo because the Zouk scene was changing a lot. And I think in 2015, went there for the first time in São Paulo in the Zouk Day Congress. And he started introducing a different way to dance with more flow, more connection. Because before, people in São Paulo used to dance like battle. Lamba Zouk, battle. Not Lamba Zouk like we see nowadays. Lambada like we see nowadays was very more energetic, more power, and crazy stuff.
In my perspective, also, when I was not part of this company, I was in social dances sometimes with Bruno and other friends. Before starting taking classes, I was always going with them for some socials. And I saw that there was a moment that the traditional Zouk was the only style. And then the Urban Zouk came and Lambada came, and then all those things were mixing. But also, I think São Paulo, it is a city that it's diverse. It is like this. So we have all the kinds of food, religions, we have all the races, and we have everything in São Paulo. And São Paulo is 24/7. I think that approach, and also how the world is developing, the mentality. For example, when I started dancing, all the followers, they would be women, and all the followers, they would wear heels. So the dance shoes would be heels. We didn't have option. And heels, it hurts my feet. It hurts. But I couldn't imagine that I could wear something else. And I think the way that the mentality and the internet and the way that the professionals in general, we are talking more today, the way that we are more interested in learning the other things, I think this is helping the whole Zouk scene. And it happens in São Paulo too.
In that time, the scene, before Veronese, the scene was led by Felipe Mirra. So the reference in São Paulo was
head, yeah.
Felipe Mirra, Minas Gerais, Rodrigo Delano, Rio de Janeiro, Renata Peçanha, and Bahia Brás. After that, was very hard to see, again, traditional Zouk. We could see traditional Zouk in São Paulo when we had competitions, and then people from Rio and other cities, they would go to São Paulo to compete. When Sandi came, the scene started changing a lot, like 3 years, like 15, 17, was where we could see the Zouk planta. I think São Paulo was the first place that I saw. I would play in the karaoke club.
When you were DJing?
When I was DJing, playing as a DJ, I was playing like boom, cha, cha. People were like just standing without moving their bodies. And like 2 years, the scene was upside down. from a lot of energy to no energy ever. Like people just breathing. And then Espaço 3D from David and Davila, they start promote more Jack and Jills. And then little by little,
Lambada.
the scene start to be more mixed in the way that it is now. I think that was the transition. Now we see we have everything in São Paulo.
And I think that's why this is still one of the biggest and, in my opinion, one of the best Zouk scene in the world, because I feel that we are open to every style, to every people, everybody. It's, yeah.
That's something that I talk to people about, how I saw the transition. For example, I come from São José dos Campos. It's the countryside of São Paulo. So about 50 minutes from São Paulo city. The whole time I was in Brazil, when I was visiting my family, or even before I moved to Australia, I had to go to Rio to train, because that was 2007, 2008, 2009. Of course, there were some teachers in São Paulo and I would take classes with them, but most of the trends and the latest things were in Rio. And then it happened to be in São Paulo. So thank you for sharing that story, because I usually say to people, São Paulo can be late to the party, but when São Paulo decides something, there's no stopping, and they don't take second place. You know,
Exactly.
well, we have very good friends, Rafael and Carini from São Paulo. When they decided we're going to be the ones who come from Brazil and take over the world, showing that Brazilians can also salsa and win as many championships as you can. When people in São Paulo, whether they are from São Paulo or not, if they move to São Paulo and they get that São Paulo vibe that everything is possible, then there's no stopping. So it's nice because nowadays people have this question, hey, I'm going to Brazil. Where should I spend more time? Rio or São Paulo? And it's so hard to answer because I'm proud of São Paulo. I'm like, bro, just go to São Paulo. Don't worry about Rio. But it's not true because it should be both. A little bit of both. Rio has so much to offer. São Paulo has so much to offer. Go to Bahia as well. Go to multiple different places so you can get a different flavor, because just like we were talking about how the US is so big, Brazil is just as big. So you can fly 5 hours and go to a Zouk party and then fly 5 hours again and you go to another Zouk Congress and you're still in the same country. And people dance so differently.
Yeah. And when you guys were mentioning about that you used to have battles in the socials and have this competitive aspects that Espaço 3D then reintroduced competitions and Jack and Jills and stuff like that. I think that's a very particular feature of São Paulo, because being from Rio, I would almost never see competitions. They were basically non-existent in my radar. In Rio, I was actively dancing in Rio and learning, and I studied in Jaime Arocha for 6 years. Then I went to schools in downtown. I did a little bit of Alex de Carvalho. I went to the socials in Renata Peçanha, and that was not a thing. So I think when you guys are saying about the battles and the stuff like that, that is something that I've never seen in my life in a social. So it's a very different, never seen. So it's a very different vibe, completely different environments that created this difference that to this day we still see the difference between São Paulo and Rio. I have friends from Australia, for example, that went to Brazil in January, and they were telling me the difference between social dancing in Brazil and social dancing in São Paulo. And the things that they were telling me is the same things that I've been feeling for 15 years. So there is overall energy that circulates in the different cities that no matter how much time it goes by, if we visit them, it's gonna feel a difference. So like Alisson was saying, I think it's nice that people go to both places to experience both energies. Being undeniable that São Paulo is the superpower that it is today, and that you can go there and experience the whole spectrum very easily. So super interesting to learn about the battles that you guys used to have back in the day.
I was not playing at that time as a DJ, but I remember DJ Mané. He's one of the Jedis of DJ. And everybody was complaining the social. He was amazing, But
Because
The
it was
urban-
worse.
yes,
Yeah.
the urban Zouk would say, no traditional songs, no lambada, no.
Just R&B.
And the lamba Zouk guys, no R&B, no remix. For him was terrible time.
Hard time.
Hard time. Yeah, I went through none of these things, so it's super fascinating for me to hear these stories about São Paulo, because I think the scenes developed so isolated for so many years. Eh? I remember like the biggest scene in Rio at one point was Zouk no Cib. You guys know about Zouk no Cib?
Yeah.
The social in
yes,
Copacabana.
yes. It's amazing.
Back in the day, it was called Onda Zouk. It was another organizer. And we would have a lot of things, and we'd have Mafi playing. I first heard Mafi in Onda Zouk, now Zouk no Cib. And the moment they would play was called the blackout hour. All lights would go off, would get pitch black.
Wow.
And Mafi would play his 9-10 minute songs, you know, Gothica.
This crazy song.
Yeah, he would play the songs and all the things would happen in that darkness. So it was,
Oh my God.
it was really nice to have this contrast. He would have
Right.
the traditional stuff play most of the time, Ghetto Zouk, Zouk Love, Cabo Zouk, all this stuff. And then Mafi would come with the Neo Zouk, completely different vibe. So we had all these things,
Mhm.
but we didn't have the people complaining like, oh, no. So it's super interesting to learn. Very cool.
I think in general, São Paulo was very competitive scene,
Yeah.
not just because of the competition. That's why the competition was very trending, because people were very
Looking for that.
looking
Yeah.
for that. Everybody was trying to improve, to be the best.
Yeah.
No one would go to the social just to, let's have fun. No, let's,
I want to be good.
yes.
Yeah. And I think when I was just in one, I don't remember, it was a professional, one of the directors. And the professional said, oh, when the people from São Paulo came, because actually we are traveling the São Paulo, we're going to say the new generation. I know that we have been dancing a while. Leandro is teaching since 2011, but we are new generation here, especially traveling. So someone told me, oh, when one of you came abroad, and then the other one and the other couple, we were like, where those people were? Where were they? But then São Paulo is actually, people are good over there. And if you stop training,
Yeah.
someone is going to be better than you fast. And it doesn't matter how talented you are, because people work hard. So you have to keep working hard. And this became natural for us. So for us, we are not doing anything special. We actually are always think, oh, we are late. We have to train
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
There's this movement that I can't do yet. I have to do it. So we see in a different way, but because we grew in that scene.
Yeah, so that brings me to the question that I've been keeping here in my head. Being in São Paulo, was that the catalyst or the helping hand that you guys had to get to where you are now, to have the dreams that you guys have, to go from Brazil to now being in the United States, living there, traveling around the country, and I'm sure, hopefully very soon, traveling around the globe?
I think being São Paulo was very important for us. Leandro's from Bahia, but he moved to São Paulo when he was 2 years old, right?
Mhm.
So I think so. I think it's good for us to be in this environment. For us, competition is a big part of our career. Not just competing, but we train people to compete. We also have a school in Brazil. So the way that these competitions put our students together as a family, that was insane. We hear from many students that competition sometimes brings a not good vibe for their communities, or not a good vibe for the social dance or for some congress. Our experience with competition, it's exactly the opposite. As competitors, we grow so much competing. We challenge ourselves. We put ourselves in so hard situations sometimes that in our perspective push our level up. But also the idea of having a group competing together. Our students, they were meeting every Friday, training 5 hours a day together. and they were really cheering for each other. They were helping each other. They were building strategies together, sharing feedbacks in a very nice way. So our experience with competition is the best. And I think when we train people nowadays, we do the same. We try to bring that idea of challenge yourself, but also being part of a community that wants to get better together. And also how to train their brains for that, how to organize their mindset for competition. It's a big part of our classes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think the point for us about competition and how it was very game-changing for us, I used to compete a lot till 2015 with my ex-partner. And then we get kind of famous in São Paulo because the way that we were dancing was very different, like doing acceleration. That time, nobody would do that just in a choreo, not in a social dance. And then we broke up our partnership. I started my partnership with Nayara, and then I stopped competing for 6 years. I was just training myself, trying to be better, and I was training some people to compete. And I was just mentoring them. And then we opened our school in the middle of the pandemic. And people were start training. And then one specific student of us, he is like our mentee, like our little baby from the scratch.
Yeah.
And he was very not good from that time.
He was learning.
He was learning.
But he know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
he knew it. And his friends used to make fun of him. And then he once decided to compete. And the people were, no. Like our students, the other students, no, don't compete.
I remember that Espaço 3D, they pay money for the first and second place. So our friends, our students, they were like, no, we get the money here and we pay you we give you the prize and then you don't have to compete.
Don't compete. Okay. And then this guy, he started competing.
He's very stubborn. Yeah.
Yes. And then he placed last. And then he was, I want to win a Jack and Jill. And I was, really? That's all you want? And he was, yes, let's go. And then we took him like our really baby. And then he would go with me every day to our school. And I was cleaning and he was doing solo exercise. He was our private student, but you know, he was paying for 1 hour, but I would spend like 4 hours with him. Let's go again, solo work again. He used to do this every day. And then once he won a competition, he did really well. Was after the pandemic, the first Jack and Jill after pandemic in Espaço 3D. And people were getting crazy like, these guys, we were there with a team. Like everybody was...
Your students, they were wearing the shirt with the name of our school.
Everybody, like 30 people, they were screaming and people were very sad in that time. Like all of the people, they were
pandemic,
sad after pandemic.
And I think they were not really expecting Lucas to win. And so when he won, it was for all of them, it was a very good inspiration. So people were like, oh my God, look what he did.
At that time, they had the amateur and the professional division. And then Nayara won the professional division as a follower. I was not competing. I was just mentoring. And then Lucas won the
first place
leader. And our student, she won the first place follower. So we won almost everything in that competition. And that was a game changing. And they inspired me to come back to compete. That was the game changing for us, to learn again. And then we create a champions training that we call champions training that time. That was a training for people who was training. They were our students aware. They were paying private classes or they were
part of the school. They were students of the school.
And then we create a free course. So every Friday we would training 4 hours every Friday, just competition, but not just movement. We would training them, their mental health, their behavior, and everything. I think that's one point that I would say about competition. It's about the intention that you have when you are competing. My intention is always improve. Not just shine or do the new crazy stuff or something like this. When I changed that in my mind, because of our students, my dance improved a lot. Even though I was dancing for almost 10 years, that was my next level up.
I think being São Paulo for us was good because the students that we had, they had this mentality also, maybe for being São Paulo. But for us, many times in our career, we wanted to quit, stop dancing. And our students, they were the most important thing for us.
Yeah.
They brought us back all the time. And in this training, for example, we had one situation that in the first time they went to compete, they were super excited because they were training. They were for 4 months training every time. So the next competition, I think we were with around 30 students competing. And then there was one person that one student of us, he didn't want to dance with in that day. So they put the person to dance with other leader that was not him. And he kind of celebrated that. And we saw that happening. So after competition, we put all them together, said, okay, next train, let's talk. They were very happy because they went to the next level. They went to semifinals. So we were just waiting. So when they arrived to train next Friday, we said, if you're going to behave like that, we're going to stop right here. This is not what we are doing here. This is a social dance. It's a Jack and Jill dance. And we had a student that she's 72 years old and she was training every day with them.
Yeah.
She never competed, but she was training every day. So having her in the group and that situation that happened once, only once, was necessary for us to make all of them to understand what it really means.
Yeah.
And to respect others, to respect their own process because they were not good. And that person, she was very good actually. If you don't match with this person, maybe you were not prepared yet to dance with that person. So that moment was a game changing for them. And I think was one good thing for us to set how we want to compete.
It's about people. It's about life. It's about
relationship.
Create a relationship. Even though you are competing, if you want to win, I think you have to keep your focus on level up your own.
You as a person, right?
Yes.
Not just as a dancer.
Yes, exactly. So 2 things that changed for us in our group was this lady, and also they would compete against each other, right? In the training. And then I put the target in my head. So I said to them, if you want to be good, you have to at least dance better than me. I'm your teacher. So everybody was creating a strategy to beat me. So, and then that was also one strategy to make them feel more as a family.
Yeah, like they were a group and Leandro was the enemy, not this. Yeah, but that was
genius.
Very nice. But the question is how we get here, right? And I think having a school was very important for us.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It's very nice. It's very good to hear a different perspective on competition, hearing your guys' perspective on competition, how you guys train your students under that point of view, under that philosophy. So in your school, does it still exist in Brazil?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we traveled for the first time to Europe, first tour, we prepared 3 couples because the school, it was actually us teaching, cleaning, and people. It was us in a room. So when we decided to tour, we said, if we leave, this is done. No.
So 1 year before we travel abroad, we create a teacher's course for our students.
Yeah. 3 couples, they were training with us for 5 years already. But
we asked everybody who wants to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And they said, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a professional. And then we said, okay, we are going to teach you how.
Yeah. So we start to develop with them our methodology together, actually.
But again, it was not just about how to teach, but we were teaching them psychology. We were teaching them how to implement their personality, to organize their
to
things.
Create their own methodology.
Yes.
So we are sharing.
Not just to copy. We will not say, okay, do like this. No, that's the options that you have to improve this in your life or in your dance or in your methodology. So you have to pick yours.
Yeah.
and create your
And to build yours. So we were with them for almost 1 year, 10 months, preparing them to take our classes. But actually, I think it doesn't matter how good you are as a teacher. If the student likes you and you leave, they will not just accept the next person over there.
Yeah.
So our new teachers, they had to create their own communities, their own students. Our students, some we would stay, but most, no, it doesn't matter how good you are. So it happened in our school. So we used to have 90 students, just us. And I think when we quit, we had like 30.
Yeah.
Also was really hard to manage the school. We had a person that we really trust, and she was trying to hold everything. She was trying to do everything, the manager in that time. But it was hard for us. So what we understood is that they would make decisions sometimes because they have to. We would not agree, and we couldn't complain because we were not helping.
Yeah.
Said, this is not good for any of us. And we were super sad to quit the school, but we really wanted to move, maybe not move, but work in the US, work in other places. We want this next step for us in our career. We were giving everything of us for them for 5 years, and we were not really improving our dance or our career. We were putting a lot of effort in
Improving as a teacher, our methodology,
a lot.
as a person, we improved it a lot, but we were not focused on ourselves. I would teach all the classes the whole week, and Nayara would be
in the office, doing the spreadsheets.
Yes.
So I love that. But I feel as an artist that I want to develop things that I really need to focus on me right now. And I think Leandro feels the same. So it was a hard decision, but then we decided to close the doors, and I wrote a letter for all the students and for all the teachers. When I sent to the manager, she would send to the teachers. She said, I can't send that. So then she asked us to keep the school. She said, can I keep the school? Can I run the school by myself? So now the school is still there. There's amazing students, and the teachers, they still there, but we are not being part of the decisions anymore. They consult us sometimes, but it's not ours anymore.
Our school is called Vox.
VOX.
Yes.
And it means voice in Latin. And actually the meaning, it's because we believe that dance is a voice. Dance is a way to express ourselves.
And our philosophy of teaching was always trying to bringing their own voice.
Yeah.
Own voice. So we were always asking them more than just saying things for them just to.
And I think doing the job, they are walking with their own legs now.
Yes. They're teaching, they have their own community. They're great.
I have a follow-up question for you guys on that note, because I really think the methodology that you guys created for your own school, it's something that is very valuable to share with everybody. How you guys implemented not having levels on your classes, and how you created that methodology. How do you transport that knowledge that you guys applied on your own school in Brazil to now your international traveling career? How you plan your classes for congresses, events, and weekenders, thinking about that methodology too? I would like you guys to share a little bit more about that too.
It's a really good question, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I would love to hear all of the answers and everything you have to say about that question, but we do have to take a break right now. So everybody who is listening right now or watching us, please tune in the next episode, so we'll continue. Right now, we will take a break, but Leandro and Nayara, Ki and Adayl will be back with us in the next episode. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.